Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we are going to be taking a look at Marvel's Spider-Man 2. I know I'm a little bit late, having released in October, but it's an expensive game and I got it for Christmas, so here I am reviewing it. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth and all that. I'm going to use any present I get to form a video game review, because it means I don't have to buy a game for it, which is lovely. Obviously, you know my feelings about Marvel. The only thing I really get involved with Marvel is Spider-Man franchise, because I kind of can generally sort of say, well, that money's kind of going to Sony, right? Rather than Disney, because I think Disney have made a complete hash of Marvel since after really Endgame. It's been going downhill since pretty much straight away, so there's that. But the original Spider-Man actually won Snare and Mine Game of the Year, which I don't do anymore because it would just be my Game of the Year and I'm fucking weird. And I also enjoyed Miles Morales, which I did pick up when I got my PS5. So Spider-Man 2,
surface tension is all about
I really enjoyed my time with it. I'd be lying if I didn't say that, like, during the opening of the game when they're working together to take out Sandman, I didn't have a big stupid grin on my face, because I do love Spider-Man, and he's an iconic part of my childhood, really. I even have a big picture of the Insomniac version of Spider-Man on my wall as I'm recording this, so there you go, that's what I think of him. Now, the gameplay itself remains fairly similar to the previous two. You do have the inclusion of a few bits and pieces, such as you have web wings now, which you can deploy as you go along. It allows you to glide or use updrafts, or sort of highlighted sort of air highways, if you like, where you'll get pushed for speed to cover a lot more distance faster. You have the skills work very differently this time, obviously because you're playing both Miles Morales and Peter Parker. Peter has his own skill set, as does Miles, but they also have a shared skill set. And every time you level, you get one skill point. You don't get it between characters. You get one skill point to apply to either one of the characters or one of the shared skills. The shared skills are more about traversal, and the skills that are for each Spider-Man basically goes into combat most of the time, either for Peter's powers. I will try and keep that vague, because half of his skill tree is dedicated to something that I'm not sure I should be talking about, because it's a bit spoilery. So I'll save that and maybe have a spoiler section sort of near the end, which I can advise you to skip forward on if I need to. And yeah, but that does sort of lean into one of the problems I have with the game, and that is calling Miles Spider-Man as well. I make no bones about it. I like Miles Morales as a character. He's a good kid and his mum's hot, and she remains hot in this game, so I'm all good for that. But even the subtitles are fucking confusing, because they have to... They've chosen to put it like whenever Peter talks, it comes up Spider-Man. Whenever Miles talks, it comes up Spider-Man. So they actually have to put their mask next to the line to differentiate between the two. Whereas if you just called Miles Morales, and Peter Parker, you wouldn't have had to do that. But because they've chosen to call them both Spider-Man, yeah, it doesn't really... It's a bit weird. It seems like they've had to make more effort because of that choice. Personally, as I say, nothing against Miles Morales, but he will never be Spider-Man to me. Peter Parker will always be Spider-Man to me, just as Ben Reilly was it. He was Ben Reilly. Wasn't Spider-Man either when he took over for a little while. You know, the Scarlet Spider guy. That guy. So I would rather have Miles Morales be his own hero rather than just calling him Spider-Man when he's not. To be fair, I mean, he's an OP character. I mean, giving him all of Spider-Man's powers and the Venom powers as well. It just seems like they're trying to say, hey, look at this new cool Spider-Man that's better than the old Spider-Man. You should like him more. No, sorry. Pete's my Spider-Man. That's all I say about that. which is depressing because I believe Insomniac have announced that going forward Miles Morales will be the lead Spider-Man in any future games. I would still buy games featuring Miles Morales, but the fact that he's basically supplanting Peter doesn't really sit right with me. I'd rather have him as a different character than just, usurp the role of Spider-Man. It was kind of like a problem in his own game as well. And like, oh, it's the new Spider-Man, and you're just like, no, it's Miles Morales. The game's called Spider-Man Miles Morales. You're having to differentiate it already. Just call him something else. And I know it's not a problem that's limited to the games, and obviously in the comic books it's a thing as well. But that's just how I feel about it. I'm definitely a Peter Parker kind of guy. The game itself is well written. It has a number of high points in it and some swerves as well. At one point I thought they were going to go one way with Peter, and they sort of doubled back and just took a left turn and did something else entirely. So I was quite pleased because I wasn't agreeing where I thought the story was going, but it turned out that I had nothing to worry about. They weren't going to do that. It was cool. And then they did something else, and I was also like, okay, I didn't see that coming. So they have definitely I mean, it's on the front of the box, so I just say it. The Venom symbiote is in this game, which fixes my complaint on the original game from not having the black suit. You do get the black suit, you get a couple of variations of it in this game. And obviously, if you're familiar with the comic book version, it started in Secret Wars where Peter got his suit messed up and sort of wandering around an alien science lab. He found what he thought was like a replicator and made a suit for himself. Turns out not quite a suit, more like an alien parasite, which then proceeded to try and take him over and forcefully bond itself with him. He got it off in a church. Eddie Brock was below him, much like in Spider-Man 3, even though the application of Venom there was disappointing. And was below him, and the symbiote shared his hate of Spider-Man Peter Parker and bonded with him, and he became Venom. And then it went on to Eddie Brock, where he was not Eddie Brock, Matt Gargan, and eventually Flash Thompson, and it gets a bit complicated. I mean, Venom seems to be bonded with a lot of people, but generally speaking, Eddie Brock is the one we associate with Venom. Obviously, Flash Thompson was Agent Venom, and there is a callback in one of the costume designs to that in this game, and also there's... Well, I won't say that. I won't go any further than that because I don't want to spoil it, and I think I can keep this relatively clear of spoilers if I try. Excuse me. I very much enjoyed it. In fact, I upgraded the version I've got to the Digital Deluxe version. I think it gave me like a couple extra skill points and some more suits. There are a lot of suits in this game. They've also added the ability to change the palettes of a lot of them as well. You have to purchase them. But it's only with in-game currency, so no problems there. And a lot of them are sort of based behind player level and fulfilling quest lines will open them. So I haven't seen all of them yet. I have completed the main game. I stayed up late last night to make sure I got that done. And I'm glad I did because I enjoyed it. There is something that's a little worrying though. I'll come back around to that because, it's a bit spoilery, but I need to talk about it, I feel, in this video. So the game starts out and you have this massive pitch battle with Sandman, and it's stunning, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, this is the part of the game I captured because obviously I like to capture the starts of games as much as possible because I don't want to give spoilers in the gameplay footage. I just don't agree with that sort of thing. I mean, if you want to look it up yourself, feel free. Spoil it for yourself. If you don't mind, that's fine. But I'm not going to put it in my reviews because, yeah, I just don't like doing it. But yeah, so you get through that part, and then it's like this. You have to clean up the city and do a little bit here and there of different work. There's a lot to do in the open world again. It's changed a little bit this time in the fact that not everything shows up immediately in the open world. You actually have to travel around and find these locations in order to do those particular activities, which is nice. You also can't travel straight away either. There's no like train stations or anything like that, what will happen is, as you complete missions and do stuff in the different districts, you will go through 3 levels. You'll get like some sort of spendable resource stuff that you can use, gadgets or suits, stuff like that. And then you'll get the second level, which enables fast travel for that district. And then all you've got to do is put your cursor where you want to fast travel to and hold down triangle on the map screen, and it will take you straight there. It's pretty seamless, so it's pretty technically impressive that we've managed to do that. It will sort of move you away from quest markers, so if you try and sort of land directly on the quest you want to go to, it will sort of shuffle you off to the side just a little bit. Not too far away. It certainly is well worth doing if you need to get across the map quickly. There are also catapult points where you can like catapult yourself off the top of a building across, like if you're trying to get across a river. They're helpful, very much so, especially in conjunction with your glide function. It allows you to transit the city really quickly when you need to. The combat is pretty much the same. They have added a parry now, which takes a while to get used to. The first time it sort of came in, I was like, what is this? So some attacks you can't simply dodge, you actually have to parry. They are marked slightly differently, but the start of it is kind of the same, so I found myself dodging quite a lot before realizing it was one I had to parry. So I was getting hit a fair bit that I don't really think it was too fair. I think because it kind of goes red and then yellow, and at least that was my experience of it, and like the ones you need to dodge go red, so like by the time it's gone sort of yellow, I'm already dodging in mid-animation and can't parry. So I get a smack. It didn't happen too many times, and I was starting to get a handle on it towards the end of the game. You sort of realise which enemies do it and what animations they have, the sort of attack combos. So as you learn, it becomes a lot easier, but trying to identify just from the visual sort of indicator is a bit tricky when you first start. There are also some enemies where it's very difficult to get them, just by punching and like web zipping and stuff like that. So I mean, there's an enemy that comes in late in the game where the only reliable way of getting him is to either use a finisher on him, which is exactly the same. You get 2 bars, you can heal, or you can use a finisher. I was using healing quite a bit. I think I used finishers less in this game, certainly than the others. On particular enemies, it came in obviously handy on difficult ones to put them down quicker. But there is an enemy type where the most reliable way I've found is doing perfect dodges, because when you do perfect dodge, you shoot a web and it normally just like binds them up. It's not the quick victory it was in the previous games where you would quick web and they'd be basically helpless and one web strike would take them out. That's not the case anymore. They're just like tied up for a little while and then they break out. You can hit them, but it won't be an instant kill. Except for these enemies I'm talking about, that's the best way of taking them out, by doing that. It's a one-shot kill if you do a perfect dodge. So it took me a while to figure that out, and I was getting quite frustrated because they were just moving out of the way every time I tried to hit them. And then I figured it out and I was like, oh, dumbass, okay, that's how we take those guys out. They do successfully vary enemies though, so the combat encounters are more difficult than previous. Or at least I found them to be more difficult than previous. And you'll get a lot of enemies on screen at some points of the game. So and the variety of them means that you're dodging to like one's way where your only option is to dodge, but then the other one comes into one that you should parry, so you're just kind of like really sort of on your toes and getting overwhelmed at certain points. But it's never never feels unfair. It just feels like more of a challenge than I can handle. It's probably the best way to put it. For a regular person, it'll probably be fine. But I really enjoyed the game. I'm going to go into spoilers now for the last however many minutes of this video, because I do need to talk about some of them. Okay, spoilers in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Venom. Harry returns and he has been fitted with the Venom suit, which was sort of implicated at the end of the previous game, or the first game I should say. And he seems to have cured him and everything. And then he discovers oh, it's giving me superpowers, super venom powers, and then he sort of has an Agent Venom style outfit and helps you out. After that, Pete gets a bit of a stabbing, Venom symbiote goes on him, and obviously he can't give it, he's trying to give it back, and Venom symbiote's like, no, fuck that, I like this spider power job. And obviously he starts to get a bit evil, which is a shame, because the fighting with the Venom symbiote is so much more satisfying than his regular. It's just like a rage mode you do, and you just annihilate everything. You're just battering people. It's amazing. And then you eventually sort of relieve yourself on it. It goes back to Harry. Harry becomes Venom, and Peter becomes anti-Venom. I didn't see that coming. That was the thing I did not see coming, because I think that was Eddie Brock, I think in the comics, was also anti-Venom. Don't know about that. And a couple, I think 2 other notable symbiotes make appearances as well. I won't bother talking about because it doesn't really tie into what I want to talk about. So yeah, that was the thing. I was like, I thought they were going to make Peter Parker Venom, and I thought that was the way they were going to sort of get rid of him from the story. Like, okay, he's Venom. Like, Miles beats him because obviously Miles is the better Spider-Man, right? And then he's like, oh man, I have to go away and sort my head out and sort of that sort of thing. But no, they didn't do that. It did go back to Harry. Harry became Venom. Peter became anti-Venom. And basically the game is, Peter is the main character of the game. The main conflict is very much centralized on him. Miles has a few things as well. He has like a thing with Martin Lee, stuff like that, that's also in there. And obviously he plays Miles quite a bit. But he doesn't feel like the main character. Peter feels very much like the central character of the main storyline, which is good, because, you know, I prefer Peter. Now, something that does worry me is, as I said, Insomniac has said that Miles will be Spider-Man going forward. At the end of the game, Peter decides to step down being Spider-Man and serve more as an advisory function for Miles, while he gets on and does some other stuff, basically. And then, in the sort of after credits scene, we're introduced to a new character who is well, it's Cindy Moon, you know, Silk. The character, I'm not real familiar with that, but I did look her up because I was like, who the fuck was that? And Silk in the comic books has been bitten by the same spider as Peter Parker, has all of his skills, is faster than him, not as strong as him, but also has a much better spider sense, which is the Silk sense. So she's basically a better version of Peter Parker. And given, you know, Marvel / Disney's inclination to make all of their stuff about women for some reason, I don't know why. Yes, I feel we could be getting a second Spider person, but in the form of Silk. So Girl Boss number 967, perhaps. I hope that isn't the case. I mean, I've got no problem with Silk being in the game as a side character, but if I'm playing a Spider-Man game, I want Spider-Man to be in it, basically. And Spider-Man to me is Peter Parker. No matter how much they try and push Miles, I like Miles. Miles is a good character. I think he's different enough that he doesn't come across as a carbon copy of Peter Parker. But again, it's a much tougher argument to make that he's different if you're going to call him Spider-Man. Just saying. And I think if they bring in Silk and just have her take the Peter Parker role as a better version of Peter Parker that happens to be female, I'm not sure how well that will go, personally, because, I mean, it hasn't worked for the movies. Yeah. Ain't nothing against female superheroes. I think they're, you know, they're awesome. You know what I'm like. If I can watch someone kick ass and look good while they're doing it and, you know, maybe show a bit of skin, I'm all for that. Queen made for the win, baby. But when it's at the cost of an established character, I just don't deal with that shit. So I would buy a Miles Morales game that wasn't necessarily called Spider-Man 3. I'm not sure I'd be as eager to get it if it was Spider-Man 3 and it was just like, hey, here's Spider-Man, who is Miles Morales now. I'm not sure about that. and I certainly wouldn't buy a Silk game, primarily because she is basically a better version of Peter Parker, at least from what I've read. And she's female, and she's a minority because, you know, we can't have women in anything that aren't minorities, and we can't have males in anything that aren't women. Anyway, that's a bit of a rant. I think my core concept is just portray the characters as they've always been portrayed, please. And if you want to make Miles Morales games, I'm fine with that, but how about we call him Miles Morales, which is what you did in the last game, and not confuse ourselves by calling them both Spider-Man, because that's confusing. It's cute when they go like, hey Spider-Man, hey Spider-Man, you know, I got no problem with that, but actually having him subtitled as Spider-Man just makes it unnecessarily complicated. It's just stupid. But right, that's spoilers over, so I will put something in the chat not in the chat, what am I talking about? Fucking hell. I would put a time marker like down previously so they know where to go to and shit like that. So welcome back everybody, I didn't want to be spoiled. We've had a merry conversation about nothing I will tell you about because you didn't want to be spoiled. If you want to find out, go back. But yeah, I also those things that I sort of nitpicked earlier and elaborated on in the spoiler shack section. I did enjoy it. I had a good time with it. I played it. So I got it Christmas Day. I didn't play it till I got home in the evening. And played it most of Boxing Day. And then unfortunately I was back to work, so I could only play it last night. But I finished. I've still got some side activities to do. One thing to take note of is there's no New Game Plus in it yet. That is coming. But it's been pushed back to next year, the first quarter of next year. Depending on how early next year that is, you know, it may or may not be a problem because, I mean, it's almost next year now. We're like 3 days away or something. So, well, less for you guys. When will this be? I think this will be just before New Year when you see this. Yes, it'll be the 30th when this comes out. So it's currently the 28th when I'm doing the voiceover. So yeah, so that is coming. If it's just not there now, I was quite surprised because I finished it and thought, okay, rather than going around and like doing all the stuff, I'll go back through it. No, just New Game. That's all there was, unfortunately. But yes, Spider-Man 2. It's a really good game. I would say I've probably enjoyed that more than any other game I've played this year. So, there you go. I have some slight quibbles with it, you know, there were things that I would change or perhaps not change in it. But certainly from a fidelity standpoint, a gameplay standpoint, I had a lot of fun with it. It does feel like an evolution of the previous game, so it doesn't feel like you're just doing the same thing over again. It does feel like they've put some extra effort in to change it. Oh, there are stealth sections with MJ. They're far less onerous this time though. She is actually useful. She gets like a stunner. That she also gets like a web thing and something else that I won't say because it could be considered spoilery. So she has far more facility in, you know, taking down bad guys herself. So yes, fantastic. Also, she looks a lot better this time around. I think it's probably because she has her hair down for most of the game. But still not beating Black Cat. That Black Cat model. But of course she likes ladies now. Such is the way of things. Anyway guys, take it easy. I'll catch you next time.